From new to old, COTA is one of the more recent tracks built in the iRacing world, but Spa, well, its history goes back an entire century. This Belgian circuit is considered one of the classics and often cited as a favorite by many drivers the world over. I expect we'll have just as much fun watching from the stands as they will down on the track as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Racing Edge Sim Racing series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren and Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. With so much history, there's plenty to go over with Spa-Francorchamps. Why don't we start with the basics and head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchemont have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Rétillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. You see a little bit more about Spa-Francorchamps, but there's a few different versions of it, even though it's all essentially the same layout. Nick, why don't you go over what they're running today?
Yeah, well, today they're running the Grand Prix layout. It's 4.35 miles, 7 kilometers, and 19 turns. Very difficult and unique turns. You already mentioned just how historic all of those turns are deep in the books here. And a lot of the turns here are fast sweepers, too, which create single groove situations. That's going to make passing for the GT3s very risky in certain areas of the track. And then for the TCRs, the draft is huge. And so you're going to have to watch for those trains of cars to stay together and battle throughout the field. Those trains are going to create some passing opportunities for them, but they're also going to create some traffic headaches for the GT3s. You're going to have to watch out for that in places like the Kemmel Straight. And the drivers, we saw how much of a headache that was last week in COTA when we had traffic. Even though we have a longer track here, Joe, traffic's certainly going to play a big role.
Certainly will. And one thing that's played a big role in this series is, of course, our sponsor. Want to put your racing skills to the test on the track? Visit racingedge.com and check out the latest listings for race cars and classic cars. From super quick McLarens to vintage Ferraris, racingedge.com will cater for your needs. Want to learn more about how to get into motor racing? Visit racingedge.com/media for more. Again, a huge thank you to them for sponsoring this series. You can get in contact with them there on Facebook or Instagram through @RacingEdgeOfficial. Now, for today's race, let's go over the details in case we have viewers who didn't tune in last week. Of course, this is round 2 of 4 that we are in right now, 2 out of 6, excuse me. And we have 2 different classes that are racing, the Audi TCR and the Audi R8 GT3. 30-minute races, so these are very quick sprints that they're running. But there is definitely money on the line, even though there are no points for a championship. There are cash prizes for the podium in each class, each and every race. And for new drivers popping in, they've made sure and made it a fixed setup, so shouldn't have too much trouble getting up to speed and fiddling with that. You just get in the car and try and run it. So far, we're in the midst of qualifying, but no times on the board quite yet. And Adam, it is looks a little bit cloudy today, so cooler conditions at least to give people something grippy out on the track.
Yeah, fortunately, it's a little bit cooler than we've seen in some of the other races at Spa these past weeks. The air temp's 65, meaning the track temp is a low 73, and with that cloud cover, it's patchy throughout the circuit. So as you can see, this first sector pretty cloudy, but right now the back half of the course is under sun. So we're going to see a lot of variation in track temperature, and that's going to affect these cars, especially the TCR cars with their front wheel drive.
Looks like Simeone's getting a handle on things pretty well. His first lap puts him on provisional pole, but we're still waiting on a few to get out there and put one down. Simeone, another one of our real world drivers in for today, races in the Porsche GT3 Cup normally. So the Canadian driver hopping over to a different brand of German car here, but clearly taking to it quite well. Sydney Nye up at the top now of the TCR class as well.
Yeah, Sydney Nye was leading it for a moment. Now Christopher Bailey has jumped up there and taken the lead of that. And down in the third position is Zachary Vanier. He's our Formula 1600 racer who's racing with us right now. Christopher Oliveira trying to come across the line for his first lap. These TCRs are going to be stretched to try and put those 2 laps in. So if anyone got off the line late, it's going to be a little rough for them. But still, 20 about 13 of them have put in times already, and there's still 350 on the clock, so they've got plenty of time to get their second lap in.
And Nick, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet is the fact that the incidents, the way that they count off tracks here, is very important to qualifying, especially here at Spa. So I wonder if that's why we're still missing a number of people on the board.
Yeah, we had that issue last week at Coda, and during the race, you're going to get penalties for every 20 incident points and then every 10, and then you're going to have a DQ at 40. Now, I'd hope that we don't see 40 incident points out of anyone in a 30-minute race, but if it was gonna be anywhere, I think Spa would be exactly the place to have it happen. And with a couple of drivers worried about getting penalties and disqualifications at Coda last week, I would certainly have to raise my eyebrows at the fact that they're going to be racing at Spa today.
Certainly, as we watch Del Campo cross the qualifying line in a 2:18.3. Looks like that's good enough for what was sixth. He's now down to seventh as more drivers come across for their second lap. Pipers is going to be in P5 unless someone is able to go quicker than him. Genevieve's now in 10th place. He's on his second lap. Let's see if this one's any faster as he comes out of the bus stop at 2:19 flat. And as he crosses the line at 2:18.3, a big pickup there for the 44.
Yeah, and Joe, something else that's interesting is that these races are 30 minutes long, and that may seem like a while, but that's actually really short, as far as a road course goes, and especially here at Spa. So qualifying all the more important for this race because track position is going to be so vital here.
And it's a decent sized field, too. So you're going to have a lot of cars to deal with out there. Herrera, up to the pole. All right. So the 95 finding himself some speed. And that's just a mere 200s quicker than Simeone.
Yeah, it's going to be. We have some really cracking laps going on right now. Alex Ellis is going to cross the line, and Ellis actually going up to third. So, wow, these second laps are really starting to get going here. Mike Mills crossed the line, unable to improve his position. Michael Melvin coming in for his first timed lap. Is he going to get it in? Yes, he is. 13th position there.
Looking to see who else is going to be finishing up here. And I see David Levine, excuse me, coming up is currently the last driver with a time in the Audis. This is Bunovich, and a 2:17.6 is going to be good enough for fifth on his.
Oliveira coming across for what will be his first time lap if he can get it done. He's going to cross the line and looks like he's not going to set a time, unfortunately. So those off tracks starting to bite a little bit with these TCRs. Jacob Exton coming across the line, though, looks like he's not on a flying lap either. So quite a few of these drivers really struggling with those off tracks, about 6 or 7 of them.
Mark Alguero, who was fast last time, only going to be in a 2:18.1 as his quickest, so down in 10th for him. He must have made a mistake on that second lap. Jeff McCaig also getting ready to finish the number 6 up into the bus stop chicane. He didn't set a time on his first lap. He's just going to have enough time to get a second one in if he didn't have an off track this time. Let's see. It's a 2:40.7, and that's actually going to put him 21st of those. So he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so we have a couple drivers still on track right now, but they're not going to have time to complete it as we're going to go to the grid.
Said there's a lot of cars, and as you can see, there really are. Alex Herrera going to be leading that group with the pole in the GT3 class. Ethan Simeone will be starting in second, with Alex Ellis in P3. Tay Kim starts fourth today, followed by Maxime Bunovic in fifth place. Nick Rowland starts in sixth. Giuliano Romagnolo, one of our quick guys from last time, not as quick in qualifying, seventh for him today. Gilhelm Peepers in 8th place with Carlos Cantu in 9th. And Nick, we've got Mark Alguero rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Jack Genovese and Nick Del Campo are going to follow right in row number 6, still in the GT3 class. Like you said, a lot of drivers. Tom Empson, Richard Hibbs, and Michael Melvin will round out your top 15. Then you've got Mac Clark in the 26 car, starting in 16th. Parker Chase, a former teammate to Kyle Busch in the IMSA series, starting in 17th. And David Levine is going to round out the field for the GT3s. But overall on the grid, you're going to have Christopher Bailey and Stefan Jeffrey starting on the front row for the TCRs. Adam?
Yeah, then we have Sydney Nye starting in 3rd place for the TCRs with Curtis Fox in 4th. Jeremy Steinhausen starting off in 5th place with Zachary Vanier starting off in 7th. Christopher Stiles is going to start off in 8th position with Paula Breme in 9th and Daryl Timmers in 10th position on the grid for the TCRs.
Then you've got Zlad Dojcic in 28th, followed by Michael Ogren in 29th. Alex Federico will be 30th today. Rich Price is starting 31st, and Sam Clark in 32nd as we start on our short pace lap here. David Schwartz, P33 today. Mike Mills, 34th, and Michael Shaughnessy in 35th. And it's Brian Zen in 36th, Ryan Renard 37th overall, Constantine Berger 38th, and Jeff McCaig 39th. A few drivers did not qualify. Dion Phillips, Daniel Morad, real-life driver and 24 Hours of Daytona champion. F1 driver Nicholas Latifi joins us with John Singleton, Christopher Oliveira, and Jacob Exton as well. Fascinating to see two top-tier world-class drivers starting from the back of the grid today. And unfortunately, they have not gridded them by class, so with them not putting a time in, they will have to work their way through the TCRs at the start. Just hoping that they don't get into trouble in that process. But this is the endurance layout that they're running, so even though you will see the pace car peel off here, watch out for the start being on the downhill after La Source. This is not like you'll see in Formula One. Now, they might allow them to accelerate early, though, and Herrera looks like that is the case for him as they come up to La Source. Are they going to try and race into the hairpin? I think, in fact, they are as they start to fan out into that first corner. Green flag is out here for round 2. Down the hill, a little bit of contact in the background. Not sure who that was involved there in the Audis. Hopefully they can get through Eau Rouge cleanly as most of them start to go single file. Oh, we got a spinner and up and over the top of the hill. Looks like most are going to be able to avoid him. One spinner joins him. Otherwise, it's clean. Let's go to the TCRs.
Christopher Bailey's been doing a great job leading them to the green. It was actually very clean for the TCRs as they're going to catch up to that car that was Carlos Cantu, who's pulled off to the side. And he's actually going to come back on track almost into the guys, but now it's a battle for the lead right now between Christopher Bailey and Sidney Nyes. They're going to come into the sharp right-hander at the end of the straight.
Draft could play a big effect here today as they come up to Lacombe for the first time. Nye looks around the outside, but can't make it stick. Behind them, contact between Christopher Stiles and multiple other cars. Oh, and they're going to have to weave through as he stays put, but he's stuck in the middle of the track. We're watching the leaders continue on down into Ravage. Bailey still leads in the TCRs. Nye still chasing. Up at the front of the GT3s, Herrera is ahead of Alex Ellis right now. Roman Yolo runs in third. It's a pack of 5 up at the front. That's Simeone and Kim behind them. So the start did not go well for our front row.
Not at all. They jumped early like we saw before the finish line. They're allowed to do that, but that allowed everyone to get such a big run on them going up through Eau Rouge and onto the Kemmel Straight, and now we have exactly what you said, all of them just being swallowed up by the speed.
Herrera doing a good job here at the start to take the lead away after starting this thing. Oh, excuse me, on the pole actually.
And Alex Ellis
Simeone
has just
was
gone
second.
around.
Ellis trying to bring it back on track safely. He's very slow. Everybody's packed together, so he's losing a ton of positions, and actually he was backwards here as he whips it back around.
That was beautiful.
Looks like Matt Clark has gone to the pits in the Audi GT3s, so he's going to take out an early pit stop as well as Parker Tate.
Looks like Latifi is going to get by all the TCRs, and he is freed up to try and run down the rest of his class, but Bailey's still leading there. I think they're going to have Daniel Morad now through as well. There he goes.
Yeah, so this should free up Sydney Nye to try and challenge Christopher Bailey going up Eau Rouge and Radion.
So we watch from on board, looking back, coming down across the line. Bailey being chased by Nye. He's going to get another big slipstream up the Kemmel Straight off of Eau Rouge. Those tires are going to start to warm up at this point, be up to the desired temperature. Nye closing in. It's down to a car length and a half. He could have a good opportunity. Is he going to try and poke his nose out? So far, he's staying right in the tire tracks. And he's not going to attempt it yet. He stays behind.
There's just a little bit too much time left on the clock. Not worth trying to take a risky move up the inside, especially when we know Christopher Bailey is pretty decent on the brakes. They have Dion Phillips, who's going to come up behind them now and try and get himself into the battle with the rest of the GT3 Audis ahead.
Yeah, obviously a different class. Not going to make that mistake this time that I did last time. I kept track of which ones have been coming through. I think it's calmed down a little bit. Maybe we can get a replay of that start here and look at which one had an interesting moment there. Let's see if we can figure out who was involved in those spins.
This was a lot of cars. This is the one right back at the very beginning of the race.
This is our TCR class that we're looking at.
Cantu and Bunovich, I believe, were involved in this first one.
Matt Clark that we see on screen, and there's Bunovich. Yeah, he definitely was involved. Someone hitting the wall hard there. Watch it one more time. That could have been a lot worse considering this was lap 1.
Just all out of sorts. And I guess it did get worse, Joe, later on in that lap for a couple of TCRs, but a lot of drivers still able to get through the...
Meanwhile, Adam, you caught a wreck while we were on replay. What happened?
Yeah, this was Melvin just getting loose coming through the final couple of corners before the chicanes at the end of the straight and the final straight, and collected Tom Emerson as well. We're going to take a look at this.
Give it a glance here.
And this was with Tom Emerson in the Audi GT3s.
Emerson almost got by the 37 of Tom Emerson.
Yeah,
he was so close to getting through and then just lost it, getting into the grass on the driver's left.
See if we got this replay spooled up here. You can see all the damage, unfortunately. Looks like we won't be able to watch that one, unfortunately. And up at the front, Herrera has already been caught and passed. And actually, do we have more cars going by, or is this lap traffic? Well, that's lap traffic. Oh, and a side-by-side contact with Styles and Kim. Kim manages to get away with it. This is up at the front of the GT3s. You can see they're heading towards Blanchimont. Simeone with a huge gap now of 2 seconds over Herrera ever since he took that lead away.
Yeah, the real-world GT3 driver Simeone was able to just launch past him.
Yeah, and these drivers are going to have to start struggling a little bit with their traffic. We're going to take a look at this battle with the TCRs, though. It's very close for the lead in that class.
It is indeed, and it's still Bailey and Nye. They've stretched away from Steinhausen, who currently sits in third, and he's in a little battle of his own, but let's stick with this battle for first. Looks like Genovese also off track, and this is another issue with Blanchimont. One thing we have seen in the past here, Nick, is that it seems like these GT3 cars, especially that Audi, does not like some of these fast corners.
No, the weight in them will shift, and that'll just snap the handling of the car, and Jack got a first-hand experience of that, as you'll see through here. There he goes.
Yeah, the 44 is definitely out in a big way on that one. They do have a spare car that they can hop into. If you're not familiar with iRacing, if you have damage that takes you out of the race, you can hop into the pits, get a completely fresh car, and get going once again, but you still lose a lot of time from that. So we take a look at Simeone once again, the 22 now up to 2.8 seconds ahead.
And we don't have to go there, but Alguero had a spin as well. He continues to lose spots.
Taking a look at Zlad now. Dojsic in a nice little fight with Breme.
Yeah, it looks like
contact there.
Yeah, and it looks like that gave Breme just a bad launch off the corner, but these TCRs are so blocky, they create a really big hole in the air, and Breme's getting a much better run through Radion, and here we go as they head up the Kemmel straight. Breme's got an excellent run. Let's see what he's going to do with it. Dojsic stays over on the right side of the road, and this is going to allow Breme to go up the outside, but this is going to switch over as far as advantage going into the next corner. So if Dojsic can be late on the brakes, and he's not quite late enough, Breme able to take the apex.
Nicely done by the 23 to sneak that one back. Oh, but it's not over. Here comes Lad down to the inside, wheel to wheel. Little bit of door banging. And the 29 back up into sixth position.
Very advantageous move there, just taking advantage of a little bit of a lapse in concentration from Breme, able to make that move stick and get back up there to the sixth position. Now Breme's got to do it all over again.
Gonna watch from on board Paolo, just behind, as these TCRs pick up speed down towards Pouhon. Can't imagine what it's like in a front-wheel drive car through this corner.
Looked pretty unstable over the curbs in the last couple of corners they were going through.
Yeah, these things are pretty terrifying to drive through these downhill corners. The right front just wants to give way as you go through there. You really do need to use the brakes to try and pitch the car into the corner, as they have Maxime Vinovich trying to make his way by, and he does so cleanly, but that's going to break up the battle a little bit.
Thankfully, doesn't interrupt them too terribly much. Meanwhile, Romagnolo just got by Del Campo. This is for 5th place. Easy slipstream pass down the Kemmel straight. Just behind them, that's Roland you'll see glances of back there, so I'm sure he'd love to see them continue to fight like this. Watch from his perspective.
He's certainly closing in. If they go side by side much longer, he'll definitely be right with them.
Not sure if they will, though, because it looks like Romagnolo's got a handle on things. He was vying for the win last round at Circuit of the Americas, and clearly he wants to try and get himself a little bit higher up to vie for the win here, but he's got a ways to go. He's already 10 seconds behind the leader because of his poor starting position.
Might have a bit of a battle for second place in this class as well, just in front of him. Tae Kim, who we saw very competitive, very aggressive at Coda, he has caught the rear end of Alex Herrera as well.
Watch them coming down towards Blanchimont. We ride on board with Kim. They're going to have lap traffic here. This is Berger. Constantine's going to stay off to the left side. Nicely done, but that could have cost a little bit of a chance there for Tae Kim. It was difficult trying to overtake traffic and make the pass at the same time. Still, he stays tucked into that slipstream as they head up the main straight here into La Source. This is where he wants that good exit. Coming out of the hairpin at the start of the lap. I'd say he's got a decent one. He's going to have a great opportunity here if he can just keep the momentum over the crest of Radillon.
Pretty aggressive over the curbs for both of them. I think he's still on the slipstream. Lost touch a little bit. It's going to be enough. He's already gaining.
I don't think it's going to be enough. He looks a little too far back to me. Now that they hit the brakes down into Lacombe, indeed, Herrera is going to hold on to second. Kim still in P3, but hounding him. Who is very good through the twistier bits. Don't think he's going to get it here. So let's jump back to the TCR cars because the podium, again, this is for money here that they're fighting for. Steinhausen and Jeffrey along with Ogren. A three-way fight for the final spot on the podium.
Yeah, Steinhausen and Jeffrey were side by side down the Kemmel Straight and actually made a little bit of contact going into the corner following. Steinhausen having a little bit of connection issues, but Jeffrey is really in a good position to capitalize on this, but Ogren actually has a great run as well. Jeffrey's been going off track a little bit though. He's got to be careful that he doesn't pick up too many penalties and has to do a drive-through. He clips the grass a little bit into the braking for the chicane here, and Steinhausen goes deep as well. They're going to have a side-by-side contact between the two of them as they go onto the front straight. This gives a good opportunity for Ogren as he lines up in between them. Jeffrey going to cross over. They might go three wide into the first corner.
Frantic action here in this battle for third. Gets squeezed over a little bit. Ogren suddenly finds himself on the inside of both cars. He gets one, but not quite the second, and it looks like an over-under for Stefan Jeffrey potentially. It's a drag race up to Eau Rouge. I hope they don't try this too wide through here.
Who's going to give? Who's going to give? It's going to be Ogren. He's actually going to back it out a little bit. This is going to give momentum to Jeffrey as he tries to catch up to the back of Stenhausen. But these guys are probably going to be more separated than they were last lap. And Steinhausen just going to be able to snake away a little bit. Jeffrey unable to catch.
And don't look now. Zlad Dojsic has already caught up to this top five battle. From all the way in the back, he's into sixth and has run them down with all that fighting. He's deep on the brakes. Ogren nearly loses the spot because of that. Another look. No. He's used this before, but it doesn't quite work out as well as he roughhouses his way past. And Zlad's going to get P5 in a little bit of a rude manner.
But here comes Paolo Brem right behind him.
Takes advantage of it. That is not going to sit well with Ogren, I'm sure. Losing 2 positions from a touch to the rear. We're now halfway through this race already. It is going by fast.
And Steinhausen and Jeffrey are back at it. Look at this, Jeffrey right on the back of Steinhausen. He's actually going to look to the inside here. Steinhausen, and here we go, Jeffrey backing off just a little bit, unable to make the move. But man, these TCRs are getting extremely feisty here. We have 15 minutes to go, and the gloves are off.
From what I've seen the racing in these TCR cars in other series, I'm not too surprised. It tends to go this way with drivers getting very rough here. He's going to look to the inside once again, and Stavolo still isn't producing results. Another bit of draft as they'll start to pick up speed on the run down to Blanchimont. Jeffrey looked a little slow off the corner, though.
And Dojsic also has a really, really good run coming through here. So he's definitely going to be on the back of these guys, especially when they get to the straight. It all depends on whether or not they outbrake themselves once again as we get through the chicane. Looks like Jeffrey's a little bit mixed up there. So Dojsic going to come in. Here we go, 3 wide as we get Michael Melvin coming through again after his repair is done. Late on the brakes for everybody as they go through the corner, but Dojsic is going to have to stay behind in 5th place.
Or is he? He tries to get the shot off the corner. And then as Melvin finally gets past everybody, looks like Zlad did not have enough. Now, unfortunately, if we go to Tae Kim, just now he was a near miss with Nick Rowland, who was spinning out of Blanchimont. You know, he was down there in the first place because Kim had a wreck of his own into Stavolo. let's see, which are we watching here? This is going to be the incident with Roland. That's Roland in the red and blue, side by side, up into Blanchimont. Another dangerous move between them. Loses control and barely avoids him.
Very close call there with Nick Rowland. But yeah, you're right. Take Him actually had an incident of his own a little while before that. That's why he was so far back down the running order.
So we come back live. And this is DeCampo. Looks like he's going to lose a spot to Kim, who's already charging back forward. And they are coming into the thick of the lap traffic at this point.
The traffic is extremely thick right now. You saw it on that shot as they were going down the Kemmel Straight. This is really hard to navigate. The speed difference between these two cars is intense. And look at that. One of the GT3s almost pushing one of the TCRs off track.
Closing a few fights in together, because while Take Him is trying to catch up to the car ahead. That car ahead is Romagnolo, who is right on the rear bumper of Gilhelm in the number 12.
This is the TCRs once again for that third position. That is just, oh, major contact. This is going to allow Doisic to go through. That's our leader in the GT3s. Ethan Simoni trying to go through the corner as well. He's going to be able to get through cleanly, but that was major contact between Jeffrey and Steinhausen.
Doisic now into third with that money-paying position ahead of Jeffrey. Let's see if he tries to come back at him. Poor Steinhausen, who was in third before, seems to be struggling later this race.
No, Nick Del Campo just got sent off track. He in the GT3s. That is the number 05 car. This was a major incident that happened because of traffic.
That was Curtis Fox, the TCR that got into him. He was pinched between him and Jacob Exton right in front of him.
Already had to avoid a car that was returning to the track there through Fanny's. Yeah, almost looked like he was just distracted, didn't realize the Audi was coming up on him so quickly.
Doesn't look like too much damage for him, but a lot of ground loss because they were all clumped together there.
So real quick update, your leader is still Simeone in the GT3s, and Bailey is up at the front of the TCRs, but only barely because Nye is still 4/10 behind.
Yeah, Sidney Nye's done a very good job of keeping in touch here with Christopher Bailey leading. And he's had a couple of good opportunities as well, like we've seen right here down into the Lacombe. He probably has the speed if he pulls out a line and tries to slingshot, but he hasn't taken that opportunity yet. Just trying to preserve his car and get to the end of the race, it looks like.
Yeah, and my guess as to why, Nick, is that you don't want to leave the door open for that last lap pass that looks exactly the same. So you want to make sure to make that pass when it's the most opportune for you. And it looks like Bailey is starting to lose front grip on the front left of that car a little bit, and Nye looking a lot more tidy through the corners.
To come down out of no name towards Puhan. Christopher Bailey with a mirrorful of Sidney Nye, unable to shake him. Has to do so for 10 more minutes. Can he keep that defense up? What about Doisic and all this? He's 11 seconds behind. That's a long ways back. But if they do start fighting, with the way that 29 is charged forward, I wouldn't put it past him to maybe have a shot at the win even.
Yeah, Doisic has the pace, but the question is, does he have the time? We only have 10 minutes left, and that's about, well, there's my math going again, 4 or 5 laps left for these TCRs. So I don't know if he's going to have the time to get there.
I don't know if he's going to catch him now.
Oh, that was Gilhelm involved in that. Looks like Steinhausen. So this is some of our front runners in
that was Pipers coming back across the track.
It was, and he got into Zlad Doisic.
12 of Pipers in the GT3 class.
It's also collected Alguero in the 20. Oh, there's the initial hit.
Oh, no.
This is Gilhelm's moment.
Lost it all by himself. And then looks like he was still in a slide. I don't know if he was trying to rejoin the track or just get it going. So it looks a little bit better from that angle.
Aguero's able to keep going, and he's still running in 6th. Piper's actually also still out there in 7th. Amazed that car's still going.
Yeah, a lot of front left damage on that thing, though, Joe. It's probably not handling the way that he would like it at this moment.
Simeone, who's had control of this race pretty much since the start, did have to get the lead away from Herrera, but from second to the lead, and he's got a 10-second gap at this point, so he is certainly not being challenged.
Pretty impressive given we've only been racing for 22 minutes as well.
Let's look in 13th in the TCR class. We haven't given a whole lot of love to the mid-pack, but there's been so much fun up front. This is Reynard and Oliveira. Christopher's on the outside trying to squeeze him, actually. Comes back to the racing line, looks to outbrake him into Lacombe, just barely chops him off at the nose into that chicane.
And that's Brian Zinn and David Schwartz who's chasing them both down. And this is a fantastic battle for 13th position. Here comes David Schwartz on the inside of Brian Zinn as they're going to drop down into what was previously no name. Look at that, the student driver paint on Schwartz there. Fantastic driving for both of these guys as they work to keep it off of each other.
Zinn to the inside. Can we see an over-under here from Schwartz?
Oh,
nope,
no!
Not quite.
P3 in the TCRs just got spun off. Jeremy Steinhausen, he tried to make a move on P3, Stefan Jeffrey, but Steinhausen now around.
And that was from lap traffic. Morad was trying to come through and just... We're going to watch from Jeffrey's perspective.
Yet another TCR driver taken out of this equation for 3rd place. There's been so many.
So this is Jeffrey. We're going to see this after Pouhon, I believe. Actually, wait a minute. We are currently coming out of Stavlo, so I'm not sure where we've gone in the replay, unfortunately. Here's the incident.
We'll see Morad coming through.
Oh, he changed his line on him.
Yep.
Yeah.
The big no-no.
Yeah, and they were given a talk at the beginning of the race about just holding to your line. I think he was just trying to get out of the way, but that can be even more of a danger than if you just stay on your line, even if it's going to disenfranchise the driver ahead of you.
Absolutely. 6 more minutes left to go now for this man, Christopher Bailey. Still leading Sidney Nye. 3/10 between them as he closes in the slipstream. They're going to get interrupted. This is Latifi. And Latifi, oh, just about squeezing off Nye. That could interrupt this battle quite a bit.
Looks like a little bit of understeer there from Latifi. Got into him, but they all keep going. It does interrupt the battle, like you said, though, because Sidney Nye is going to fall back, and now Daniel Morad coming around as well to put them a lap down.
Someone needs to explain to the F1 driver that the iRacing blue flags are informational only.
Yeah, and the Nye's running out of time, guys. We're coming down to 5 minutes here, and that's going to mean he's going to have about 2 laps to go once he crosses the line. So he's going to run out of time to try and catch up to Bailey if Bailey doesn't get held up.
Let's watch from Latifi's perspective. 5 seconds up to Cantu right now. And there on the replay just came in the middle of the incident there into Lacombe. Time. Man, he came from a long way back. Oof.
Looks like it caught him by surprise.
Oh, and you know what? He actually might get Pipers. Gilhelm, who we know has damage, just got overtaken by Cantu. I can't imagine he is up to pace, so Latifi could be looking at a top 10 coming from the very back of the field.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on Pipers, and Pipers is down by about 20 miles an hour on the straights. So that car looks like it's crabbing a little bit too. So just not behaving the way it was when it was fresh out of the paddock. And Latifi has a really good chance of catching him on this lap at least, if not next.
Just an update, don't need to go to it. Because of that little incident that we saw, Sydney Nye is now a whole second and a half behind Bailey. I think he has lost the draft on that.
If we could take a look at the battle for P6 in the TCR class, this is a very interesting battle between Alex Verdugo, Michael Ogren, Jacob Exton, and Jeremy Steinhausen, who's trying to recover from when he got spun out of the battle in P3. These guys have been pretty much been going door to door down each of the straights for the last lap.
In fact, there's a few changes of position in the bus stop just before we got to this. Alex looks like he's got enough of a gap on Ogren. He could be good here as long as he gets the exit over Radion. Oh, it's not good for Ogren. Here comes Exton. The 41's got a great run and a whole bunch of slipstream. Down the Kimmel Straight, he looks to the outside as Ogren defends. Wheel to wheel, it's a drag race. A little bit of a nose ahead for the 41. Finally, they get onto the binders. Can he make it to the apex? Yes, nicely done by Jacob.
And Ogren not battling that too hard. He knows he has opportunities further down the lap to try and get by, so he lets him by. And look at this, Ogren coming back at him already, but he's going to think a little bit better than to dive to the inside down this very steep downhill corner.
Stick here, but I can tell you it's 2 laps to go. Simeone just went past the finish line. Tight little battle here in the mid-pack of the TCRs. Down through Puhan they plunge. Can tell you that Alex Ellis just got 5th over Alguero in the GT3s. So more changes elsewhere. We've got a battle in front of that in that same class.
Big Kim has come back, and he is chasing down Roman Yolo. They're getting past some lap traffic right now of Berger, but that's going to allow them to go side by side. Kim's got a big run on the outside.
He's already passed before they even get to the braking zone. He's able to cover him off with taking the inside line away. So Take Kim with a head of steam denies Roman Yolo a chance at the cash. Roman Yolo's going to fight back. He's on the wrong side coming into Malmedy. A little bit of traffic there. Stays off to the side. Kim holding the middle of the track, just not going to let him have an easy time.
Passing down here in the lower parts of Spa, so tough. But Roman Yolo knows what's on the line. He might just lay it all on the line to try to get around Take Kim. Kim's been so quick, but he had a couple incidents to set him back. He had to charge back up to the field. Let's see if he can stay with him.
He's trying. He's using that slipstream to the best effect possible. As they come now into Fanyes. Gets within a car length, but not close enough to attack. Leader just about taking the white flag here soon. Kim is not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. This is another spot where the slipstream is going to be very powerful for Roman Yolo.
Yeah, let's see if Roman Yolo wants to make a move at the bus stop chicane. I'm not sure he's going to be able to gain in that much. He might be better off setting up for Eau Rouge and getting a launch onto the Kimmel Straight.
I agree. I think that this is going to be way too far back.
Yeah. Oh, he's there.
Thought about it, but just not quite there. Behind them, Alguero and Ellis, I think, had another change of spots. So Alguero must have gotten by Ellis, and then Ellis is now taking it back once again.
Nick Del Campo involved in that as well. He's just one spot further behind.
The leader's already taken the white flag. For those wondering about the battle between Kim and Roman Yolo, it looks like Kim is pulled far enough away that he is safe up the Kimmel Straight for the final time. This could be a good opportunity for Del Campo. Look at Del Campo. So much speed through Eau Rouge. And Alguero could be a sitting duck. He'll keep to the inside. So will Ellis. We're going to go 3 wide. They almost come together. With all that steam, Alguero not able to do anything. And Ellis, though, look at that. Down to the inside, denying Del Campo the double shot.
Alex Ellis did not let Del Campo chop his nose off like he did to Alguero. He's able to slip through on the inside, somehow get enough grip down there, and he holds on to it for now.
Great stuff here. This is all for 5th position amongst these drivers. Even though a top 5 won't pay out, it is still a point of pride, I'm sure. Keep on this for just a little bit longer, but Simeone is coming up to Blanchimont now. Ooh, a little bit of a look to the outside. Del Campo thinking about it once again, and that opens the door. He has to shut it immediately.
Del Campo is flashing his lights ahead at him.
We got to go to our leader because Simeone's coming to the bus stop. Checkered flag flies as round 2, Ethan Simeone takes the win here in the GT3 class. Got a while before we get to Bailey, so we've got time to cover this. And Alex Ellis is in a tight fight here with Del Campo. They pulled away from Alguero and Roland, who themselves are going to go side by side. In fact, they're going to try side by side through Blanchimont, and they're going to come together. They're going to wreck behind them. Ellis still in the fight. Ellis takes a look at it, almost makes contact, does make contact, sends Del Campo around, and Alex Ellis is going to get that top 5, but under contentious circumstances.
The battle for the lead in the TCRs is still actually quite close between Bailey and Nye. Nye actually caught up to Bailey quite a bit on this last lap, and there's been similar circumstances throughout the field that as once we just saw in GT3 and TCR. So there's plenty to talk about at the end of this race. But Christopher Bailey still leading Sidney Nye, and Nye has one more opportunity here.
I think he's got a very good opportunity. We've seen quite a bit of ground being able to be gained if you get a good enough exit.
He's going to have Parker Chase coming in.
Chase, yeah. It's not in their class. Could give a little bit of an extra toe, though. And in fact, yeah, you can see Nye trying to take whatever he can get. He'll leave both of them alone. Parker Chase is not going to be involved in this now. But this does not look good enough for Sidney. Unless we get a mistake out of Bailey coming into the final corner here. This is his to lose. Christopher Bailey out of the bus stop chicane. Victory for him today in the TCR class and a whole lot of cash.
And our final points paying position provided nothing, our final cash paying position rather, provided nothing happens here is going to be Stephen Jeffrey, as we're going to look on behind at the battle between Breme and Fedurko.
Bremley's going to go wide.
Way too wide. Fedurko is going to be able to sneak through on the final corner. Nice move from the 11. I think that might be the last of our field, actually. Interesting to note that Latifi, because of that wreck at the end, managed to get up 2 more positions and finish 8th after everything that happened. So we're going to take a break, try to dissect all of this, but we're going to come back with more show here today. We've got the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around for more in the post-race show of the Racing Edge Sim Racing Series. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, round two of the Racing Edge Sim Racing series. Put on a fantastic show here in this 30 minutes of racing. Ethan Simeone wound up taking the victory after starting in second, denying Alex Herrera that victory with the pole in his pocket. Unfortunately, I don't think they have any payout for that. Take him, the last one to get some money, finishing in third. Giuliano Romagnolo winding up in fourth. Still a good run, going from seventh, and Alex Ellis, a bit of an up and down day, and winding up in P5. About Nick Del Campo, though, from 12th to 6th for him. Carlos Cantu wound up finishing seventh, with Nicholas Latifi not putting a qualifying in, coming from almost dead last and finishing in eighth. Daniel Morad with ninth today followed him through, and Mark El Guero rounds out your top 10, Nick.
Some drivers we didn't talk about too much, like Dion Phillips. He went all the way from 40th to 11th. Didn't put a qualifying lap in, but still certainly an impressive run in a 30-minute race. Jack Genovese will finish right behind him in 12th. Maxime Bunovic and Nick Rowland both had issues early in the race, so they fell all the way from 5th and 6th back to 13th and 14th, respectively. Rounding out your top 15 is David Levine. Then you get back to Gilham Pipers, who had a plethora of issues today. And then we saw your TCR winners, Christopher Bailey and Sydney Nye, take the top two spots there. And you have Mac Clark, 19th place back in the GT3 class, and Jacob Exton rounds out your overall top 20, being the last money-paying position for the TCR class.
And now for the people who are a little bit more disappointed, but still had fun, we hope. Alex Verdugo coming home in the 4th position, with Michael Ogren in 5th in TCR, with Jeremy Steinhausen in 6th position in TCR, with Sam Hjord in 7th TCR. Michael Shaughnessy coming home in 8th, with Parker Chase coming home 26th overall. Then we have Ryan Renard, Brian Zinn, Rich Price, and Mike Mills, who come home in 12th in TCR, 30th overall.
31st went to David Schwartz, with Stephen Jeffrey, who we saw some big action on track with. 32nd for him, Paulo Brem. Unfortunate final lap, with that gifting him 33rd. Christopher Oliveira was 34th, and Zach Vanier was 35th. John Singleton, P36 today. Zlat Dojcic, 37th, and Konstantin Berger in 38th. Christopher Stiles, 39th, and Curtis Fox, 40th. From there on down, you start to get into DNFs, sadly, for today in this 45-car field. Let's take a look at one of our drivers, talk to Zlat Dojcic, who certainly had his own bit of fun. Unfortunately, didn't give as good a result as I think his pace merited. Zlat, we saw you slicing through people there for a while, and then it just seemed to fall apart.
Yeah, that didn't end up too well for me at the end there with that R8 GT3 that pulled into the track. But what can you do?
Yeah, that's kind of how racing goes sometimes. It looked like the conditions are pretty ideal, though. Obviously, you got to get those tires up to temperature, but cool out there. Did it feel grippy?
Oh, sorry, Joe. I don't know if I had you muted there. So
That's okay. I said it was pretty cool conditions, it looked like, and even though you did need to get the tires up to temperature, was it pretty grippy from inside the cockpit?
yeah, the track was pretty fast given the climate and the temperature of the day. Yeah, once you got those tires up to temperature, it was a fantastic run. Really, really good track.
Great stuff. Well, next round, we're actually going to another classic. We're heading off to the newer Silverstone. Are you looking forward to that? Are you more of a traditionalist and like the old version, or do you enjoy the new layout?
You know what? Silverstone's kind of fun all around. Before I forget, I'd like to let everyone know that registration is now open for that Silverstone event. So it is first come, first serve, capped at 25 per class. So if you're interested, please go to racingedge.com and sign up now.
Awesome stuff. Well, sad that you didn't have better results, but let's see. I think we have one more driver to talk to. Actually, a couple more drivers to talk to. It looks like we're trying to sort out who we have in line here first. Give us a second, as if we're trying to get someone to change their name for us here, because we can't tell who we're talking to. Fortunately, the internet sometimes gives us nicknames. But it was fantastic racing out there today. As I mentioned, pretty good conditions for our drivers. I don't think we saw any DNFs for those incident limits, which was a good sign that everybody paid heed to those racing edges. Looks like we've got Sydney Nye with us, who was second place in the TCR class, so one of our cash winners. Let's see if we can pull him in. Adam has caught up with Sydney.
Hey guys.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, Sydney, a great race for you, but it was a tight battle between you and Christopher Bailey there in second for that lead in the TCR class. Was
Yeah,
it just the
absolutely.
traffic, or what is it that kind of broke that up?
The GT3s definitely make it a little challenging, but yeah, I was just trying to keep the pressure on Christopher the whole race because I know we were very close in speed and lap times, so I knew it would be coming down to a last lap pass kind of thing. And unfortunately, another GT3 car came up and broke the draft there a little bit, and I didn't want to throw it in and dive bomb at the last second, so I was happy to come home with another second place.
Yeah, Sydney, and we saw that you were kind of just biding your time for most of the race. You didn't want to put that pass on Christopher Bailey too early. So, is that something you would have changed now that you look back on it, or what? Do you think that was still the right strategy?
Absolutely. Like in a race, anything can happen. So thinking back, I probably should have made a move sooner, but that's all a part of it. I mean, I learned so much in the first race at Circuit of the Americas, where the tires really just fall off quickly if you push too hard. So I was just saving the tires and trying to hit my marks every lap. So yeah, it's. I mean, hindsight's always 2020, but it was. I still had a lot of fun. It was a good race at the end.
Awesome. Well, fantastic talking to you once again, Sydney, and we look forward to seeing you at the next round.
Absolutely. I'm already registering. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, that was Sydney Nye, our second place finisher. And it looks like we have Nick Schmeg, who's going to be talking to Alex Herrera.
I am indeed caught up with Alex here, the driver who finishes second place in the GT3 race. Not much of a battle for first place for you, but you had your hands full fighting for that second place position, it looks like.
Yeah, hello. Sorry for my English. And yes, there was a difficult race for me. Not easy. Um, there was some space for first position and third position, but there was no easy because I was no comfortable. And I'm been scared. I've been scared in the two first laps in Blanchimont and Eau Rouge, and that condition my race at all. And yeah, it's a very good result. There was a very good level, and I'm very happy for the pole position. A very good lap for me. Not my true lap, but there was it. And after the race was scary but fun with the TCR cars.
Yeah, talk about the TCR cars. How was the lap traffic? Was how terrifying was it to go through that field of all of the slower cars?
That was so difficult because some cars break it at the line, and if I don't break or if I not change the line, I've been crashed and ruined the race. It was fun, but very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun for us to watch. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go here today?
It's okay to thank to the organization, to the Morat. It's a very fun races, a big surprise for me, and thanks to you and to Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope to see you back in the booth soon. That's Alex Herrera finishing second place in the GT3s. We've got one more driver, I believe, to talk to. Joe, you've caught up with someone.
Christopher Bailey snagging a bit of cash today with a victory in the TCR class. Christopher, looked like it was a bit frustrating at times because you were trying to shake Sydney, excuse me if I could talk, try to shake Sydney, but it looked like the slipstream made it incredibly difficult to get away from him.
Yeah, the draft at Spa down the back straightaway, as well as after Eau Rouge and Radulon, tends to keep the cars a little bit close together. I found that usually if you remained within about a second of the person in front of you, you could really catch the slipstream, and it would keep you in touch. Another big issue we were having was just trying to get out of the way of the GT3 cars. With them running about 15 seconds faster per lap, it gets a little bit interesting sometimes.
I was just going to say the traffic looked like that took its own skill. Have you ever run this combination before? And have you ever pulled on any multi-class experience to try and help yourself on your way into this race?
I have competed in the 90 minutes of Sebring a couple months ago that iRacing was putting on. I was again in the TCR class, and we were running with a faster class car as well. So I did get a little bit of practice with that, but other than that, no, it's definitely an adjustment.
Well, I'd say you've adjusted fairly well. Is there anybody you'd like to thank that helped make this win possible today?
I'd just like to thank Global SimRacing Channel, Racing Edge, Daniel Morad as well, all for putting on the event. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good, clean racing, and I look forward to joining in again next week.
Awesome stuff. You look like you'll be one to watch out for. That was Christopher Bailey, our winner in the TCR class for round 2. But that's going to close us out with, of course, a big thank you to our sponsor, Racing Edge. Again, if you want to check them out, you can find them at racingedge.com. And you can find out more about how to get into motor racing as well as buying classic cars there. And then if you want to check out their social media, it is Racing Edge Official as well. And of course, the thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Sean, Adam, Nick, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store linked below. But while you're here, make sure and subscribe to our channel. There's a little red button that says subscribe. Click that. You won't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race in this series is going to be at Silverstone. That'll be Tuesday, May 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern. But we've got more racing coming up tonight. Don't miss out on the PRL GTE series. And make sure and check out all the other upcoming series we have listed on your screen and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.